In order to understand this deck better, I think we're just gonna watch it. I think I'm just gonna watch it because, unironically, besides the things that I already said, I cannot provide much more because I don't know the deck very well. It's not one of my fields of expertise, the Infernoble deck. So I am interested to see what Pack has to say about it.
3, 2, 1. Yo, what's up, guys? So I just finished third place at YCS Richmond with Sinful Spoils Infernoble.
Watch the profile on Pack's channel instead. Oh, there's different ones? Oh, this is Team Sam's channel, right? Pack, TCG, Pack. Okay, this one is 34 minutes though, but I guess we can speed it up.
I guess before I get into like the deck profile, huge shouts to Team Summer X1 for sponsoring and flying me out to YCS Richmond. He's absolutely like one of the best sponsors ever, and also like one of my closest friends. Hey guys, go to txx1.com and use pack10 for 10% off. You can get access to the best sleeves, best over sleeves in the game for competitive play.
You can skip the 3 minutes.
What I'm currently using for my main deck right now, and
here.
Like actually I did lose once actually in top 8 or top 32 because I got imperm. I had like 3 bricks in my hand. Like that was actually super unlucky, but for the most part, most of the time when I normal summon this, I did like win because
this is probably the scariest normal summon in the game, right? Like, I think Neospace Connector is one of the scariest normal summons in the game.
It's not even the fact that Connector is like insane. It's the fact that Dolphin is ridiculous. I would mill 3 summon Dolphin and just look at my opponent's hand and like...
Because basically, even if you have a hand trap, you're forced to throw the hand trap on the Connector, and then all your opponent needs is 1 warrior extender, and you already pretty much lost unless you have a second hand trap. Like, if they open Connector, essentially you need 2 hand traps.
That was just so unfair, especially when I know that like I can play through Nibru. So I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna take a look at the hand, see if they have the Nib. If they do, I'll go into an Appaloosa line and then play underneath Appaloosa, and like that is also insane. Like the fact that you know what's in their hand is just randomly, like, it's not only that you take out hand traps, it's also that even if they don't have a hand trap, or even if they don't have Imperm, Veiler, or Ash on your Connector, like if they have something like Nib or Droll, you just see that. First of all, you get to take away the Droll. But if you see the Nib, you get to play around it. If you see board breakers, you get to set up in a way maybe to play around the board breakers. I don't know if that's possible with Infernoble. Like if you see your opponent has evenly matched, for example, that's a huge information in terms of where you should be spending your negates, for example. Right? It's just overall insane. Really, really broken as well. So,
Valvana is
absolutely crazy. Not really much to say about it. For the Fire Warriors, you play Ogier, Oliver, Turpin, and Magus. Originally, you play all these as one-ofs because the entire deck searches these cards, so you don't really need to play more than one-ofs of all the Infernoble Knights if you play Magus. So playing Magus was something we included at the end.
Magus is the one that, I don't know what the condition is, but it shuffles back Infernoble Knights and draws a card, right? What's the condition? Is it when it's sent to graveyard? Is it banish it from the graveyard? What is it? On summon? When does it do that? When it's sent to the graveyard. Okay.
That allows you to essentially play everything at one. Okay, and I'll play the rest of the Inferno Knight here as well. So Richard, aka Ricardetto, Renaud, Fireflint, Red Layer, it's a pseudo Inferno Knight, and the Gearfried. So all these cards of Heritage, off Museum. Obviously this card's like probably the most unsearchable one, but technically it's off of Ogier and then you know, Angelica. But these are all searchable. So like that's why like you only need to really play these at one for the utility.
Darkness, thank you for the gifts. Appreciate you. Thank you.
Like I think a lot.
Is the sub sound volume better now, or should it be even higher? Or maybe it should be even lower because it's the Tikaboo thingy. Higher? Oh god. Are you saying this because it's actually too low, or because you want to spite me with the Tikaboo sub sound? Should be changed to the Ray one? Nah, I'm keeping the Ray one. I'm keeping the Ray one in the back for special occasions.
People play this. Like, it seems weird that you see like a deck with like so many one-ofs, but I think the ratios of my deck was really clean. I play every card that I want at 3 to be at 3. Every card that is at 1 is at 1 because they're all searchable. And every card that the only card in my deck that is at 2 is Durendal because opening Terraforming or Museum is just better. Okay. Yeah, my favorite Infernoble Knight is probably Gearfried. This guy has been my homie. This guy has been from like the OG days. This guy has always been clutch for me. I love this card. This card's so broken. So
collector's rare gear feed looks kind of nice, doesn't it?
So basically, this is like the ratio. I'm really glad I played it. The inclusion that I played that not a lot of people really added to their deck was basically red layer. This was a card that we added to the deck.
Can Durandal add red layer? Is it any fire warrior, or is it level 4 or lower?
That was, I think, just absolutely broken. There were so many game states where I hand trapped my opponent a lot.
Well, level 5 or lower.
The
Okay.
red layer just
Convenient.
carried. Like my opponent would make low knight pass after I hand trap them. I'm like, damn, how do I out this low knight without playing into it? I go special red layer, swing to low knight, main phase do something to sold. The game just ends on this.
Glorious viewer, thank you for the 8 months. So the thing is, once again, you play the 1 red layer because if your opponent goes first, you get to search it in like a billion ways just to have it as a fire warrior starter. But the important thing here is that it's 2k, which beats over a couple things in the format. Like you can beat over SP Little Knight without triggering it, for example.
Spot. So red layer was actually so clutch. I played against 2 Dragon Link players where like I just went, he went Seal Baron. I just go, all right, special red layer, enter battle, attack Seal, bounces over my thing, then I just special summon it again in mid phase 2. So it was just broken. Also, a lot of people, I played against the mechanical deck and I wanted this card in my deck because I have like, I think like 12, 13, 14 ways to like search this
25
card.
from the museum. Yeah, it also beats over a Fenrir if you have the museum.
By putting it in my deck allows me to out Ibli lock, allows me to out getting the Acid Golem lock. It allows me to out like so many locks basically.
True.
But this card's searchable, so you only need to play one.
Contributing
Because,
Acid Golem,
when you activate Museum, you control no monsters
that's
on the board.
smart, I
so like
think.
you'll have no cards to
That's
low knight.
smart.
So you just go Museum, add Durendal. Durendal your opponent's Little Knight, and then you just search this card and just swing. And also like when you have Museum with red layer, yeah, it goes to 2500, which can beat over a 2400 or a 3-mat Appaloosa, as well as it has the ability to beat over a Fenrir. So this card with Museum goes to 2500, inherent summon for free, just swing over anything. Like it was just so crazy.
That seems good.
So this card was like godsend. Like there was one game I played against Tournament, I Ash Valor impermed him, and he made Little Knight, and I go special red layer, swing, and then yeah, the game just ended. So that's all I really had to say. I just really wanted to point this card out because this card was absolutely insane for me. Then we have for the Demon Star package, 1 Dark Witch. She's so broken, honestly.
All right, we're counting the quarter century starting now. 1.
Not much to say. And then for the hand traps, I played 3 Ash Blossom,
4,
3 Valor,
7.
And we played 3 Joe and Lockbird, and then 3 Impermanence. I played 12
10.
hand traps. I wanted to fit 12 because I feel like it gave me the best chance at. Because I think right now in the format, it is really difficult to kind of board break people. Why? Well, if you look at all the decks in the metagame, if you let your opponent full combo and you have board breakers, you feel like you're breaking their board, but you never actually really do because their follow-up is so broken that you will lose, pretty much.
That
and so,
is
like,
also
I
true,
think
yeah.
these were the best, most generic hand traps into like the wide-ass 20 million decks in the format. Droll counters every ignorant deck that's being played right now. Like Joe and Lockbird, the reason why I played with
I will say I think main decking Droll is a risky move because it's good against some decks and bad against others. I kind of like the nibs more that the 2 finalists played. Even though I think Ash, Valor, Imperm are solid. I think Droll and Nibiru are more high risk, high reward. For this kind of format, because there's a lot of different decks where these cards are good and then sometimes they're really bad.
because it countered every stupid
Against
deck
which
that
deck
people
is
wanted to
Droll
play.
bad? It's not that great against Unchained, and it's also not that great against Rescue Ace.
Like, because there's so many decks in the game, like
It can work
like,
against
Droll
Rescue
was
Ace
just so good
depending on
into
what
that.
they start with, but sometimes it doesn't do much.
And I also really like Joel because I didn't want to lose to Minate. So like the theory with the issue is if you play a combo mirror, like Joel's
It's
only
not
bad.
great against Lab either, and against Pearly sometimes it's good, but not always, right?
One
So
deck is
you
Unchained.
see where I'm coming from, right? It's like it's a high variance card in itself. Plus sometimes it's not even good. It's not playable in a certain matchup. So that's why Nib is kind of the same thing, right? Nib is also not good against every deck in the format, but it's like I think Nib, especially if you can pair it with a Valor or Imperm, I think Nib has a better chance of hitting more decks, right?
So I'd rather have a card that was good against everything rather than have a card that was good into mainly Unchained. And this card by itself has a higher chance to stop Rescue Ace than Nib does to stop rescues. Because Droll...
Also, you can play quarter century Nib, so it would be 12 matching hand traps, all quarter century array. Have you thought about that?
They start Diablo Star engine makes it so that like they cannot get access to emergency. And while Nib allows them to set 5, so like
opportunity
I think Droll was just better. Like these 12 hand traps are also like the best into rescue ways in my opinion. So that's why like I really wanted to like play these specific ones because they were just like the best into like rescue as well. Like I was really glad I played hand traps. Like they won me so many games because I only won 3 dice rolls in Swiss. Like in Swiss, I only won 3 dice rolls playing a broken ass combo deck. So like if I didn't play these hand traps, I don't think I would have made it as far as I did. I just think I made a really good meta call to play hand traps instead of board breakers, and I think it paid off really well. So
that is a statement I would agree with, because if you look at Top Cut, most of the people that were successful at this event were on hand traps, right? It's like, so it's funny how in such a diverse format, no matter what you think of the format, it is interesting to see how these kind of macro decisions of should I be playing hand traps, should I be playing board breakers, they reflect so well in this particular one. Like the call to play hand traps was better than the call to play board breakers, and it's reflected in Top Cut because so many people with hand traps did so much better than people without.
Then we have I think the best card in the deck, Triple Museum. I had to return.
One
of the QCR Museum that I borrowed from Gunther. Guys, if you have one, help a brother out. Help a brother out, man. That's all I'm saying. This is the best card in the deck for sure. Basically, when you get into hand trap boards with your opponent, like Ash, Veiler, Imperm, right? This card is like My Friend Pearly. Like this is literally a My Friend Pearly. Like you're just going plus infinite off this, and like you use Magus, shuffle back all your equips, every turn add a card, every turn add a card. Like this card is just so busted because of like it's like 2 extenders in one card. Like you literally get a free summon, and you get a free summon from the spell and trap zone. So this card was just so busted, and as a result, I saw not a lot of people play. Bro
is presenting us with the 3rd place at YCS Pourment deck profile, man.
But we played Terraforming too. Like Terraforming super outperformed because there's one game against Dragon Link. I opened Double Museum Terraforming, and I broke his whole board because I opened like that. Like it was just so crazy. Like yeah, it's not once per turn, My Friend Pearly. So the more museums you open, the better your end board is, which is absurd. I was like, bro, what? Like, so I'm like, I just want to play more of this. So I cut the 3rd Durendal to play the Terraforming instead, and I have no regrets. Like this was just like literally the most broken part of the deck. Like my opponents had to like read it twice to make sure, because like I'm like, yeah, dude, it's not once per turn, bro. It's so crazy. And then we have Triple Heritage of the Challenge, which is also a really broken card in the deck. The reason why this card is so broken is because it can add from the graveyard. So one of the ways I play around Droll is I don't use this to start unless I need to. I use this to, like, I would like make a soul, summon Oger dump what do you call it, like Ricardetto, and then I can use Heritage to add the Durendal that I foolish from my graveyard back to my hand. Like under Droll, this card's insane. So like making a Isolde, you foolishing equips and using Heritage to add the equips.
What's the point of adding Durendal from grave to hand when you are under Droll? Isn't Durendal the Rhoda?
From the graveyard under Droll is broken because then you can use like Durendal's secret effect, which allows you to like you can equip it to Oger, link off the Isolde and the Oger into like a Little Knight, then trigger the secret effect of Durendal to bring back Ricardetto, then use Ricardetto to bring back Oger, and then make Angelica. Oger target Angelica, summon a Captain Roland, send Turpin, then use Phoenix Blade to equip to the Captain Roland, bring back Turpin and make the
Oh, that's a lot of words, man. That's a lot of words, but I'm happy for you.
9 still, right? So like it's just like really like this card's like really like one of the best ways you can play under Droll. I really like this card. And so yeah, I played 2 Durendal because I don't think you need 3 in my opinion. And then I played 1
It does sound fun though, unironically. It does sound like a fun deck to play once you get into it. It's just I'm not into it just yet. Like maybe I'll probably try it for Bologna at some point and understand the more intricate lines, but yeah, it does sound fun to play.
Just for like the more
it sounds very rewarding too.
Ring, this card is like, bro, I think my round 1 opponent, he like Ash nib me. I made like the full board through it, and he has Super Poly as well as playing Branded Despia. He enters battle phase and goes Super Poly, and I'm like, Angel's Ring negate. He's like, oh, you can't respond. I'm like, yeah, but like it doesn't actually activate, and like we had a judge call over it, and yeah, so yeah, this card negated Super Poly and won me the game, so nice. And then the DDR, this card's also really busted. It's like one of your ways to play around Nib.
I love that this deck plays DDR and Phoenix Blade.
Is banned in the OCG, I believe, for a reason. So, infinite resource.
Don't get me wrong, Phoenix Blade is busted as hell, but I don't know. I always like when we play these nostalgic cards.
Triple wanted package. I mean, bro, this card also lets you play around Droll. And
has anyone counted? Who kept count with the quarter centuries? Are we at 20 yet?
Top cut.
So, I feel like we must be.
But yeah, this wanted card is literally a free mulligan for like any bad cards you draw, because you can like dump it and get a free draw off the spell. And then it just lets you play under Droll and Nibru really, really well. Like it's one of the best extenders going first. And then I played obviously the Sinful Spoils Snake Eye. This card's really good. I wish I like knew that this card can.
Unpopular opinion, especially if you're pack. Quarter century Seagull rares in this quantity is too much for me. I don't know, man. I feel like the quarter century Seagull rare is something you know, if you sprinkle it here and there, in your deck, it can be nice. If it's every single card, man, it throws me off.
Summon a level 1 from my hand because I had a really cool line with this card if I could summon a level 1
I
wouldn't. Hand, but my friend told me after, so now I know. And then the last thing is 1 Rhoda. Every card in my deck. Okay, so 44 cards. Yeah, every card was like mandatory in this deck. I honestly don't.
I don't know if I agree with that. The side deck being the only deciding factor. I don't think it's that. I don't agree with that.
Don't know what I would cut. Like every card felt like mandatory. The hand traps are obviously like situational, but I wanted to play 12 and you know, so that's why. So yeah. For the extra deck, Emperor Charles the Great.
Also, I have another hot take for you. I don't even think quarter century is my favorite rarity from the new rarity collection. Moving on.
That's my boy right here. This card is absolutely like this card by itself is 3 interruptions if you resolve it. Literally so busted. I don't really know what to say. This card was just like absurd, bro. Like, oh my god, I love this card so much. Not once per turn, spell trap negate. Yeah. Anima. So a lot of people play. I think this card is like really broken. A lot of people play Karibo, but I think Anima's better because like you play Nibru in the side deck, so you can like Anima their token. You play a lot of level 1, so you turn your Diablo Star engine into a way to.
Can't afford, so you say that? Question mark. Yes, that is the reason. Yes.
Like Anima your opponent.
What other reason could it
like,
be other than I looked at the rarities and thought one was prettier than the other? It has to be that I am freaking poor Kek W. I need to be insulted immediately because I stated an opinion. Yes, that is it.
This weekend it was really, really good. I played 1 Link Spider because if you get Nibrued, it allows you to turn the Link Spider into the Nib token into a Link Spider, so you can still activate. Because the issue is, this card requires you to send a face-up card on the field to the graveyard. If you have a Nibru token, you can't send a token for cost off the spell, so you play Link Spider in order to convert the token into a Link Spider. So now you can like activate the spell to send the Link Spider, so you can still keep playing after Nibru. So that's why Link Spider's in the deck. That came up like I think about 4 times because all my opponents opened Nib, but it didn't do anything. Double Little Knight. This card was absurd. I saw a lot of people playing 1 because I watched every single Noble Knight profile to see how it's being played right now. And I realized that like second Low Knight came up for me a lot. Like it won me so many games. But a lot of people play a Ferocious Swordsman, whatever, instead.
The fact that Little Knight appears to be a 2 of staple in a decent amount of decks rather than just a 1 of is potentially the worst timeline we could have imagined. I knew 1 was going to be mandatory. I didn't know it was going to be 2 in a lot of decks, dude.
Yeah, that is terrible because every 5 warrior in your deck is Ferocious Swordsman. So you don't need Ferocious Swordsman in your extra deck because like Little Knight is just better because this is a generic warrior monster as well. So that's why like this card is just like better. Like I was making this card, they're making a Isolde with it after.
The fact that you can use Little Knight to break a board and then make Isolde with it is also insane, by the way. That is also, speaking of bad timelines, that is also one of those.
And just full combo on people is insane. You're never fire locked. Yeah, it doesn't need to be fire though. Honestly. And then I played double Isolde. I mean, this card should be banned. Honestly, like I'm not even just saying that. Like this card should have been banned ages ago. Yeah. Like this card literally adds a card for follow up, and then teleports any warrior from your deck. Like, bro, like so busted. Like, this card is busted, bro. Appaloosa, this card is really broken too. Like, a lot of my opponents didn't know I played in my extra deck, so they like didn't nib me. I actually, in my top 4 match, I played against the Unchained guy who got 2nd place. Really cool dude, by the way. But in game 2, I looked at his hand with Dolphin. I saw nib. He had nib and imperm, I believe. And I was like, yeah, no problem. I saw his hand with Dolphin. And then I had like a way to make Appaloosa. I'm like, anything on res? He's like, nope. I'm like, yep. I slam Appaloosa down. And that card just cooked. But even if he nibbed me before, I would just make Link Spider, then activate the wanted spell. So it didn't really matter. But I got a free Appaloosa because he didn't know I played my extra, which I thought was actually insane as well. So,
Is there any substitute for Little Knight that's okay but not best? And what's your thoughts on the 2nd place Unchained? Unfortunately, I would love to tell you that there is a good replacement for Little Knight. Unfortunately, I think if you actually don't have one and can't get one, I think the best solution is to try, because we have a format that is relatively wide, is you should look for a deck that either doesn't play it at all, like Branded, for example, or we're also like looking for decks that don't play it, or play a deck where it rarely comes up, right? Like, for example, I would say if you're playing Pearly, you would obviously still want to play it, but you could get away without it in Pearly more than in a different deck, right? Or Labyrinth, maybe, right? Which obviously those decks still have certain cards that are expensive, but if you don't have a Little Knight, I don't think you can just play one of the decks that play 1 or 2 Little Knight, like Rescue Ace or whatever. Like, those decks need it. Like, those decks actually summon the card almost every game, right? So you cannot replace the card, but you can rethink what deck you're playing. If you don't have a Little Knight, maybe there's a different deck that's better without Little Knight. It's sad that I have to give you this answer, but I think that's unironically the answer, it's not great, but that's what it is, I think.
And then we played Typhon. This card is absolutely also broken. Like, you're trying to break your opponent's board. The game gets really simplified. It won me one of my matches, and honestly, that was like solid enough against Tirlement. I was grinding with Tirlement back and forth, and like I was able to
Little
summon
Knight
this
is
card and,
format warping. Unironically, Little Knight is format warping. Most of the decks at the top right now make good use of Little Knight. The decks that are not making good use of Little Knight are inherently at a disadvantage right now, and unfortunately, the card is, I think, necessary to play a top tier deck, with very few exceptions that can get away without it.
Mud Dragon, and this card was just absolutely crazy. So I made this card. I only made this card once the entire tournament, but if I didn't have it in my extra deck, I would have lost the match. So I'm happy I played it. It only came up one time, but it's just like, if I didn't have it, there's no other card in that position that would have won me that game. So like, I don't think it's like mandatory, but I made space for it just in case of that situation, and thank God it came up against Tirlement, because I won because of it. So battling Boxer Dempsey, my boy. Card's broken, so just any level 4/5 warrior or lower. We got Baron the Fleur. This is actually crazy. This card is broken. I make this card a lot.
Really?
This card was like really good for me. I think my best end board is like, I can show you what my best end board was I made during the entire tournament. It was like this. It was like Appaloosa, Baron, Double Charles, Little Knight, I think, and then I had a Gearfried here. Oh no, I didn't have this. I had a Gearfried here. No, I had Little Knight because I had to use Gearfried, and then Angelica comes back here. That was like probably my best end board the entire tournament. It was like something like this, and then I had like
that is 5 quarter centuries and a Starlight Appaloosa. That's illegal, literally.
Yeah, I had like Ash Veiler.
This end board is probably like $2,000 or some shit
as well. I was like, yeah, this board is like literally like all Starlights. Huh? Yeah, I literally made the full Starlight board on my opponent. That was insane. Anyways. I think did I do that on stream? I think I did do that on stream too, game 2. Yeah. I had like Ash, Veiler, Nib, and like full board. Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so Angelica.
Don't say anyways like that after saying, yeah, I put $2,000 onto the field on the feature match. Don't say
like
anyways
the most
like
busted
that.
Synchro 5 I've read in a long time. Bro, what is this card? This card is crazy. It like adds you museum, and then like it also can it allows you to like send a fire warrior and then tag yourself out into like the OG Captain Roland. This card was actually so broken. I love this card. This card is really, it's really like it for the warrior deck. Like, it's so broken. Like, when I resolve this card, I go +6, I think. It's so crazy. And then Captain Roland, that's the OG guy. That card is also really broken. Because this card, and the thing with this deck that not a lot of people like realize yet is that Little Knight. It's a warrior monster. So when you can cap the roll into Little Knight, trigger Charles the pop a card, but then your Little Knight goes to 2100 attack. It is really hard to beat over this. And then you'll quit Phoenix Blade to Little Knight too, so it goes to like 24. So it's like, bro, like this Little Knight is like 2400 attack, which is like really difficult to like just swing over majority of the time, which I thought was really neat. And another cool interaction that comes up with Little Knight that I guess I forgot to explain was Magus makes it so that Little Knight can't be destroyed by battle, and that actually won me one of my games. Like, it was so crazy. I played against Pearly, and my opponent like special summoned a Frenir. I cross out his Frenir, and then he attacks over my Little Knight, and I'm like, okay, it can't be destroyed by battle. And then when I activate Little Knight to banish his cat, I trigger the Magus because it went to the graveyard to draw another card. So it was just like insane. Yeah, that was a cool interaction. I thought it was nice. Yeah, the Little Knight being a warrior so that you can equip Infernoble monsters to it is like insane. Yes, and then I played the last synchro is obviously the Charles, the OG Synchro 9. That guy's insane too. Yep, so that's pretty much it. So just to like recap, because I kind of went over the place. These are the synchros: Angelica, Infernoble Knight, Captain Roland, Infernoble Knight, Emperor Charles, Baron the Fleur. And then for the XYZs, we have Battle Blockster Dempsey, we have Typhon. And then for the links, we have 2 Isoldes, Anima, Link Spider, 2 Little Knight, 2 Emperor Charles the Great, and then 1 Appaloosa. So.
I like how this deck is a combo deck, right? But it still does, it seems like the deck does have room for a lot of stuff in the extra deck. Like, you get to afford to play the Typhon, you can afford to play the Anima, which seems like a situational card. You can afford to play the second Little Knight, those kind of things, right? That does seem like an advantage for a combo heavy deck like this. The Link Spider, which is I don't think part of any standard combos, but probably makes playing after you get nibbed or something like that better, right? It's like it doesn't seem like it actually needs that much extra deck space.
Yep. So that's pretty much the deck. And then I think this deck was built really well. And a huge part of it was actually the side deck. So let me explain it. I think our deck was just like so well built. Like, I was really happy with it. Like, because I spent a lot of time like theorying more than actually like playing. Because we were in like the lab trying to like figure out how the best way to build this deck, because the deck building is really hard, and then the technical play with this deck is also really hard. But we had to like solve the deck building part first, in my opinion, because I feel like if you have a bad list with Infernoble, it's really hard to do well. Where like if you have a really good list, like a lot of these situations we theoried up actually came up, and so like I was really happy with our deck list. And then now let me go into like the side deck. 3D to Crow, because it covered like Pearly, Unchained, and Tier Limit, so it covered 3 matchups. And I did like if you guys want, I actually made side patterns for every single deck in the metagame, so I knew exactly how to side in and out for every deck. Like, I literally took the time to like decide which card comes out of my deck for every single matchup, and that's how we came up with the side deck. It wasn't random. Like, all the cards you'll see pretty soon are very like meticulously like decided upon. So I think I'll show some of that right after this deck profile too. But yeah, 3 Duty Crow, 3 Nibru. These covers like the combo decks, and this covered Pearly. So yeah, I think this was really good. Just more hand traps. We have 12 in the main. You're able to go to 18 post side. You can also go to 15 with 3 Fenrir, which is also really broken. And then when we went first, one of the things we did was we wanted to make sure that if our opponents also do 18 hand trap post side, we want to have like the best chance at beating that. And so cross out and call by were absolutely insane. Okay, so basically this allows you to like go first and like win. Like, basically if you win game 1 and then you go first game 3 with these cards in your deck, I don't know how you can lose. So yeah, cross out was really broken. And one of the things that we did, what I thought that was very unique, is we turned Crossout into a non-engine card for Pearly. If you look at our side deck, we already had a lot of coverage for Pearly with the 3 Crow, the main deck hand traps, and all that good stuff. But we wanted 3 more cards for Pearly because the deck is very strong. Like, we definitely respected the Pearly deck a lot, so we sided Crossout and for going first, obviously. But then we made it a going second card for Pearly as well by putting 1 Yeep in our extra deck. I mean, our side deck. So like when we go second, this is better. It's like basically 3 Book of Eclipse. Basically going second into that matchup. So like instead of having this, like, we're able to save side deck slots as a result of this like tech card, right? So I think like that was something that like I think really was like, I guess, forward to thinking.
It's obviously risky because you put 1 card into your deck that if you draw it, you yeah, I mean, you have Sinful Spoils to discard it, I guess, worst case, right? But yeah,
because by doing this, we're able to save slots in our side deck to play this engine, and this card was like freaking busted, bro. Because basically, the theory we had was if you guys have been playing the format lately, you'll notice that when you and your opponent are hand trapping each other to death, right? Like these cards right here. Do you know what cards shine on top? It's these Fenrirs. These Fenrirs are like what wins you. So like basically, the way this deck plays right now is when we go first, it's obviously a broken ass combo deck. But how do we play the deck when it goes second, right? we basically made the deck a mid-range deck when it goes second, because when we go second, we try to like hand trap warrior our opponent, and in a fight for resources, cards like Fenrir are really broken. Cards like Museum are all really broken. And as a result, like what we wanted to do was, all right, game one, we're gonna like have all these like equips. We're gonna like play all this. We just side out all the brick equips. We side out like DDR, Phoenix Blade, Angelica's Ring, all that stuff. We start putting in like the hand trap, start putting in Fenrir's, right? So that when we go second, we're able to like play mid range and then outgrind our opponent. And so that's why like these type of cards are really good. And
29 quarter century secrets, 4 starlights, 6 ultimates, 1 collector rare. No, there was definitely more than 1 collector's rare because it was Gearfried and double Isolde, so even that is not enough. It was definitely more collector's rares than 1.
Also, Fenrir is not only a going second card, but it's also a going first card.
And Renaud.
Because if you open Fenrir,
yeah, and Renaud, it's at least 4
spell,
collectors.
It is full combo through Nibru. So just opening this by itself with a wanted spell plays through Nib. Like that is absurd. Like it's full combo. Not even like playing through Nib and on like shit board, you play through Nib and end on like the god board. Like so it's like it was both engine, it was both non-engine for going second and engine for going first. The reason why we didn't main it was because of the fact that it was really bad game 1 when you only have 9 hand traps, but this card really shines when you hand trap your opponent twice. Yeah, it's like Jib figured out the line with this. This is a cool line from Jib. So
no, this was enjoyable. It's like it's the kind of deck profile that it didn't make me understand the full deck, of course, because it's freaking Infernoble and it seems like a very complex deck, but it's the kind of deck profile that makes me want to try it. You know what I mean? Like it's the kind of deck profile that makes me say like, okay, maybe there is something to this deck, right? Maybe there is something here, which is something that I will probably have to take a look at some point leading up to YCS Bologna. Now, of course, the question is, how good does this deck perform if the format is, if the current direction of the format is going to stay the way it is? People are going to play a lot of hand traps in general. Is this deck a deck that can play through hand traps really well, or is this a deck like I think it can play through 1 hand trap really well, but as soon as it's 2, is something that remains to be seen, right? Maybe it's still doable, maybe it's problematic, whatever, that kind of thing, right? I tried it. It's easy to make misplays. It seems like the kind of deck you really need to practice, right? It seems like a kind of deck that you can't just pick up like the day before the event and then just go into it and play it. I think you're going to be overwhelmed because you have so many one-off warriors in the deck that you can access in different situations, and you have so many different lines and so on and so forth. What's the combo in the end? Ooh, is there a like standard combo
and so
included?
Yeah, that's pretty much the deck. I really liked it. I banished my opponents like tier limit and against like mechanic. I guess that'll be like kind of important to show. So you go like normal summon connector, bring back the dolphin. This is like the 1-card combo. And then you know you can look at your opponent's hand, sure. You go into Isolde with these 2. Isolde effect will add you like a red layer, like basically a generic fire warrior monster for like the turn after. And then you'll activate the effect to send 4 equips to the graveyard, typically DDR, Angelica's Ring, Durandal, and Phoenix Blade. That will allow you to summon an Ogier from the deck.
How many different equips did we play? We played Phoenix Blade, Angelica's Angel Ring, Durandal 5, a DDR 5? 5 different ones. So as long as you don't draw 2 equip spells, Almace is another one. That's 5, yeah. That's 5. So as long as we don't draw 2 equip spells, we can always do this. Okay.
And that will be right here. And then you'll use Ogier's effect to dump Turp into the graveyard. And then you'll activate the effect of
6 total, but 5 different. Yeah, I was talking different ones. It's 5 different ones, but it's 2 Durandal, so it's 6 equip spells total.
Dolphin and the connector. To add it back to your hand, you'll equip it to Ogier. Then you'll activate Turpin to special summon itself from the graveyard. Then you'll XYZ both of these into a Battling Box or Dempsey. You can then use Dempsey's effect to add a Renaud to your hand. And then you can special summon Renaud to add a DDR back to your hand. Here, you can then go activate the DDR, pitch the free card you got, summon back the connector, and then use Renaud and the connector to make Angelica, right? So here is the Angelica. You'll use Angelica's effect to get the museum. You'll play the museum. That'll grab you a Durandal. And then from here, you can activate the effect of like, for example, Dempsey. You can detach one to target itself, so it's untargetable. And then you can go like Yugioh effect, target the Angelica, chain the Angelica. That will summon you, the captain.
So Yugioh is like in the graveyard. You can target a warrior you control and equip to it, and Angelica triggers when it's targeted, right? And it tags out.
That will foolish any fire warrior from deck to the hand, right? I think like, so the options are like
foolish from deck to the hand.
Gearfried. And then from here you have you haven't used this effect yet to summon, so from the spell and trap zone, and then you still have Durendal live. So is that right? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So and then here you can go activate Durendal effect. Let me see if I can get this. I'll grab you the Oliver. And then here we can go.
Can the Rendell add from grave too? I didn't know that.
Phoenix Blade again. Banishing these two. Get the free card back.
No, he sent it by mistake. Oh, okay.
And then from here, you can go. Oliver. Pitch this. Summon itself. This becomes a level 1 tuner. And then I think what I was doing was I think you have to link these two off. You can Low Knight. Then you can use a Turpin effect to equip. Effect, summon it. Summon this. Then you can go effect, equip to this. Link this off into Charles. You'll trigger it to summon this back. And this is like typically it's like a 1-card combo. You like rip the card out of your opponent's hand.
That's not that degenerate for a 1-card combo, right? It was a lot of steps. It's a good end board, don't get me wrong. Link arrow, you have it here from Little Knight. You have an arrow. It's 2 spell negates, a pop, and a Little Knight. I mean, it's good. It's good. You also know your opponent's hand, which is also crazy.
And this card is like 3 interruptions because it's a quick effect pop. You have Angelica's Ring. And then you can equip a Magus at your opponent's end phase. At your end phase. So when you negate, you'll like draw a card as well. You have a spell negate, a spell trap negate, a pop off this, and you have a banish.
Considering this is the 1-card combo where the rest of your hand is like either hand traps to back it up or extenders to make it more powerful, is still scary, right?
Right. You can also go for a Gearfried too. This card is more follow-up though, but yeah, you can choose. Yeah, so there's also a line where you end on Gearfried instead as well.
I think one other insane part about this deck is once again the fact that SP Little Knight is a warrior monster. And what that means is that even if your opponent somehow breaks your board, as long as the SP comes back, you have a warrior on the board already. So any normal summon makes another Isolde, right? Any freaking warrior you can normal summon gives you another Isolde.
So I think the line
although
there is
to be fair, I don't know if you use Isolde on the first turn to send 4 equip spells. Do you have enough equips left to do it? I mean, you probably have 1 left to get like a Renaud, right? All you need is like 1 equip spell. You send 1, summon Renaud, add back another equip from the graveyard, so on and so forth, right? Or Ricardetto.
You get all mace, right? Yeah, but there's a bunch of different.
You can recycle with Magus.
It's like 1 card, 1 drops. Looked at your opponent's hand. And yeah, Angelica's Ring is like really stupid. Yeah. You can like choose to not play the Sinful Spoils.
The question that I have really after the, because I'm convinced that the deck is insane if you open Connector, but you only have 4 copies of Connector. Is like the question I have is how broken is the deck if you don't draw Connector, really, right? Because without Connector, correct me if I'm wrong, there's no 1-card combo outside of Connector, right? You just need an Isolde access? Yes, you do. But if you don't draw Connector, it's not only the fact that you need 2 cards to get going, it's also the fact that you don't force your opponent's hand traps before Isolde, right? You don't get to force your opponent's hand traps. You don't get to look at your opponent's hand. So you are investing more cards into your Isolde, and it's not hand trap protected. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just an impression. I don't actually know, but I'm assuming if you don't draw Connector, this deck is a decent bit worse. Now, still, you have 4 copies of Connector, which means you still have a good chance of being able to draw it. You know, a decent amount of your games, you're going to have it. You know? The deck's insane without Connector. Also, here's the better 1-card line. Ooh, there's a better 1-card line. Hold up. Beep. Well, this is a Connector combo again, but okay. This is a better 1-card combo. Why was Pack doing it the other way? Hidden goo has been found, yeah. He mentioned that this is also possible? Okay. He's still learning. I mean, he did pick up the deck probably relatively close towards the YCS, you know? But it's cool. It's a cool deck, I think. You know, it's the kind of deck that I'm not gonna say whether I think it's a top tier deck or not, because I simply don't know it enough. You know, it'd be foolish to look at one Pack deck profile and then be like, yeah, I know everything about Infernoble now. So I think we'll just leave it at that. Interesting deck, potential meta contender, would need to try it more, but am kind of looking forward to actually trying it.